You found us.
Welcome to Emergency Protocol, a podcast for people who are stressy and depressy.
We are your hosts,
Denise
and Jackie Freed. That's my mama.
And that's my baby.
We are sharing our 12 steps reimagined for today's society.
And our bumpy, pothole-ridden spiritual paths.
And we're bringing you along for the ride.
This is us doing the actual work.
When the shit hits the fan, you know it's time for Emergency Protocol.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Here we are.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. Yeah. Do you want a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Sure.
Okay.
If you're not driving,
Mm-hmm.
close your eyes.
I like your just classic Mama Freed. Be safe.
Be safe. Make good choices.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you're not driving, close
Yeah.
your eyes and think about what you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And just take a deep breath in. And exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to remind myself to breathe a lot.
I've been doing a lot of box breathing.
We're going to, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And if you don't know what box breathing is,
Yeah.
it's
Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold at the top for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Hold at the bottom for 4 seconds.
you just keep doing that until you
Yeah.
feel
Probably
like
like 3 times.
even just a couple of times
Yeah.
will start regulating some of the stress in your body.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, it's hard to do. The holding
Yeah.
part, like my chest
Holding is hard.
is tight, right? And the
Yeah.
pacing, like, it's a challenge for sure.
And also you should try and breathe into your belly and not
Yes.
into your chest when you're doing that kind of breathing.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that I realized when I was talking, or I was listening to a meditation once, and the guy started the meditation with, breathe in through your nose. And then he was like, and release the tongue from the top of your mouth. And I was like, oh, that was a big, like, noticeable
Yeah.
stressor that I don't even know that I'm doing, like
Mm-hmm.
pressing your tongue up against the roof of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here we are.
Here we are.
November 9th. We've been through
Feels like we jumped timelines.
we
Yeah.
jumped.
Abundantly online.
I'm abundantly
this
posting.
week. But I'm like full on tinfoil hat right now. Denise thinks I'm like about to have a breakdown.
About to have?
Mm-hmm. Can't see. There it is. Anyway.
Diagnosed and mom says yes.
Oh yeah, okay. The mental health professional who birthed me is now saying that I am unwell. Yeah. I'm gonna say something's afoot, is what my intuition says.
Yes.
So, we'll see.
Yeah. And I think what I am really going to focus on is really healthy, sane, reliable sources of truth
Mm-hmm.
in my feeds,
Mm-hmm.
and start
How do
don't
you
liking.
check for that?
I really like Ann Yellen,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think she's very level-headed and very smart and not alarmist.
Mhm.
And sometimes she's right and sometimes she's wrong, but
Yeah.
she doesn't make me more anxious.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to look for people that can give me the information I need to make decisions around what I can do or not do in my life, and also not cause me extra anxiety. And what I talked about in our meeting this week was, like, I am deep diving into the Serenity Prayer
Mhm.
right now, which is like,
Do you want to recite the Serenity Prayer?
sure.
Just in case people don't know it.
So, and you can
You do the regular one.
You can
I'll do
use
ACA
God or not God, but
Yeah.
I believe in something that I'll just call God for the sake of
Mhm.
this, and it's God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that is, I'm asking for serenity,
Mm-hmm.
which is needed for me right now,
Mm-hmm.
and acceptance
Mhm.
of what is.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I'm accepting it like I believe in whatever it is. I'm just accepting what is. It actually is, right? So I'm accepting that this is what is, and then having the courage to make change however I see fit,
Mm-hmm.
and then having the wisdom to see where I can't make change, where it's not good for me to go bang my head against a wall.
Yeah.
It's not going to be helpful to fight with people online where it goes nowhere. It might not be as helpful for me to take a half a day and go do a march as it is for me to write a bunch of letters or donate to a cause or some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really being mindful about where I can affect change and putting my limited energy
Mm-hmm.
into the ones that will make me feel like I'm doing good and also feed back into the serenity, right? Like I've the courage to change the things I can will also feed into that loop of I'm doing what I can and I don't have to do it all, right? Like, because for me, I just want to fix everything, right? I want there to be no starving puppies, and I want like turtles to go to be in the water, and I want, you know, people to be peaceful, and I want women to have rights, and I want, you know, like there's so many ways that I would like to see the world, and I can't fix everything. But I can fix a lot of things in my own way of being, in my own way of reacting to life, in my own example of how I want to live. I like somebody time ago said, like, and I think we talked about this really early on. I might be the only big book, meaning a big book that anybody ever sees. So for me, I want to be an example of what these steps look like in real life.
Yeah.
By the way that I live my life. Which means like engaging with trolls online, not, you know, like doing the best I can at the time I am and the time that we're in. That's also really actually being present too, because what happens is for me, my spirals and fear and anxiety is heightened when I'm not living in the very present moment. So like right here, right now, literally, like actually literally, you and I are sitting on a couch in our studio, perfectly safe and cared for and well, you know, fed and funded and like we're okay right this second. And so a lot of what I'm going to have to do is when I'm spiraling into the future is to bring myself back to the present, which I think is what that box breathing does, which is like, okay, where I sit right now, I'm safe. And I just have to get my body back to safety.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. So you have a different version that you've been saying.
Yes, the ACA version of the Serenity Prayer is God, grant me to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. Right? So, yeah, I am very intensely online right now. I'm not fighting with trolls. My new process is to report and block trolls. I don't really, I'm more of a lurker and responder. I'm not like a post initiator. So I don't really have like a lot of comments to delete, but when I do notice someone looks like a bot, I'll report it, right? And just doing what I can to be a resource. There's a lot of people who are who just have questions this week, right? And so for whatever reason, they can't Google it themselves, but if I have a minute and I can do a Google search and find a resource to share, then I've been doing that. That feels like one small way to kind of contribute because I feel somewhat helpless right now. right? Like, I think we live in a very specific community with very specific beliefs and values, so it feels a little bit out of touch with, like, apparently half the country, very liberal, in case you couldn't tell.
Right.
We can't really separate. I personally cannot separate politics from my being or beliefs or how I exist. Anyway.
And I don't think you have to separate your politics from who you are.
No.
Right?
I think, but traditionally in this type of program, politics is a separate thing, right?
Right.
And so
Part of the traditions are, you know, we're not affiliated.
Yeah. And we're not affiliated, but I have beliefs and I'm going to openly share those beliefs.
Right.
And I welcome conversation around it, but I am not willing to debate like basic rights and dignities that people should or shouldn't be allowed to have. Right? Like to me, that's not up for debate.
Well, I think it's like your values are your values, right? And somebody else's values are their values. Yeah. And you may never see.
We can talk about like the best way to educate people, right? Or like whatever, but I'm not going to debate whether or not kids deserve free lunch at school.
Right.
Right? Like, you know, one thing we also talked about too is like look for the helpers, right? And also what you just said, like being mindful about where you are contributing and how you are participating in the community right now. And I think a lot of other people are also looking for ways to do that. I think it's super important to be mindful of how much time and energy you realistically have. Like the urge right now is I want to go sign up for everything and do all the stuff, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity available. And I think in moments like this, when we're in like a big cultural kind of tipping point, people do have that instinct. Mm-hmm. So the thing that I chose is I'm going to do a like training for a crisis text line. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be my commitment for the next like however many months, right?
And we're also doing this.
And we're doing this.
With meetings in person and online, which we just are launching our online this Sunday.
Yeah.
So
we've got stuff going on.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of collective breathing this week. On Tuesday, I went to Costco, which I do, and I bought what I call the emergency chocolate cake, which if you've ever been to Costco and know the size of their desserts, you know this is like a colossal size chocolate cake. And I walked in the office like, hey, I brought emergency chocolate cake today. And that shit was gone within 24 hours. Like, and there weren't that many people in the office. I think people were shell-shocked. You know, we live in California, so like we're on the west side of California. We're not up on Highway 99. And so I think there was a lot of sadness and there was a lot of angst and a lot of, you know, we have a lot of diversity in my office. And, you know, I was reiterating to the staff, like right now we're all here. We all got to come to work today. We all still have a job where we're valued and we're together and we're safe and we're respected. And that didn't change from yesterday to today. And most likely we'll have a job tomorrow and we'll, you know, and so it's hard to reconcile that with what's coming, like because we don't know what's coming, right? We know there's this manifesto. We know there's a plan, right? So we know it's not like we're gonna shut our eye to that and just kind of roll over and let shit happen. And also not be so blind and Pollyanna-ish, which I'm totally a Pollyanna, but so Pollyanna-ish that I fall in line, right, with whatever is going on that does not match my values as a human. So I think it's just a matter, again, I think when you're present and you're calm in your body, you can make better decisions that aren't in reaction. It's like I can do preventative work rather than reactionary work. And that feels way better to me. So we're just going to have to do what we can. Some people can't do anything right now, and that's okay. Like, people need to grieve and feel or whatever. Or there's people out there that are totally happy with the outcome of you know? It's like, either way, we all need to live together. And so I'm not going to impose my values on anybody else, and I don't want anybody else to impose their values on me.
Yeah.
And that's where Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
for
I feel like the
us.
hard part for me is that it seems like there's a disagreement about what values means, right? And what beliefs are.
Right.
So,
Well, that's not disagreement that values are values to you, which are might be different. Like the values may not align. They don't align. Right? I think that people are putting their slant on to make it seem like I don't know. Where are we getting at? I'm sorry to interrupt.
no, I don't know how to make peace with the fact that it's somehow aligned with somebody's values to vote for someone who's a convicted rapist.
Right.
That is not a values thing. Like in my mind, sexual assault is it's like a non-starter.
Mm-hmm.
Like flat out.
Right.
And I think 10 years ago, it would have been. 20 years ago, it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
For any candidate on any
Right.
level of
Decency.
the ladder. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that.
So
yes.
that to me is hard to reconcile. And I don't know, I don't know how to move forward from that, knowing that there are people who can make peace with that.
Can overlook it because they're voting
Because of their
singularly on
Not
one
even singularly.
topic.
It could be multiple topics, but
Yeah.
the fact that that's not enough to override all of the other things is unimaginable to me.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Here we are. So, and what you keep telling me this week is Universal Mother's taking care of you, and I'm like,
Well, you don't live in Arkansas.
Some people do live in Arkansas.
Yeah, but I'm talking about you. Some people
Yeah.
do, but you
This is
live here.
This is like the paradox, right? This is always where people end up questioning a higher power. It's like, how can a higher power still allow bad things to happen,
Well,
right?
I don't know that the higher power is the thing that allows things to happen. People do shitty things. People do them, not the higher power.
Right.
Right? And so I think some people's higher power are totally in alignment with living in Arkansas.
Sure.
And so it's good that they live there
Mm-hmm.
because that's where they're in alignment and that's where their thoughts are and that's where their people are and that's where they feel
Right.
safe and good. And if they don't feel safe, then they can hopefully move. Maybe not. I don't know. Financially, it's really hard to move from a place like Arkansas to California or either any coasts, right? But
Yeah.
I think that for me, I don't have any say in what other people's higher powers are do or don't do for people. I don't believe that a higher power gets a child molested or, like, I don't believe that's a higher source that does that. That's a shitty person who does that. And that has nothing to do with higher power. But for me, I just have to go with, so far in my life, in my whole 59 years, even with shitty things that have happened to me, I am taken care of. And I'm in this place now of being able to share what I've learned from mostly the shitty experiences. That's where the growth took place, right? And the change took place. Taking those shitty events and not becoming a victim to them, but becoming a source of strength and community and identity and connection through that communal experience. Because a lot of people have lived through what I've lived through. And trying to find those people so that we can all live through stuff together is super important. And because the community is what helps me also feel safe, right? Like I'm with these people who, I can call at any time and who will pick up the phone and be there for me. That's a pretty powerful thing. So Jackie and I, before we started this podcast, made a change to step 3. We talked about it last week, but we talked about the importance of making a decision, a personal decision. So we changed step 3 from we trust that something bigger is taking care of us to we decide to trust that something bigger is taking care of us. I know what that feels like for me, but I want to hear what that feels like for you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still working on understanding these steps and applying them, right? Like, I don't have decades of experience with this work. So it was hard for me to wrap my mind around what you were trying to get at with that change. But one thing I do like is that we decide to trust feels like an ongoing action. For some reason, something about that language feels different, which is what I'm experiencing right now. Like, I'm having to, trust over and over again. I have to decide to trust that I'm being taken care of.
Right.
Right?
Because we pull it back and it's like, I'm not safe, right? And there's nothing bigger. And fuck, what's going to happen, right?
Right.
And then you got to go box breathe or whatever. The universal mother is taking care of me. And then the kind of cortisol levels go down, right?
A little bit, but I'm just vacillating back and forth between that so often. It feels like there are very real, dangers now.
There are.
Yeah.
And that's why it is, I think that I really wanted to insist on making that decision because we have to repeatedly make that decision. I would call my sponsor about just fill in the blank, whatever, to whine about something. And my sponsor, Claire, would say, well, where's God in all that? And I'm like, nowhere.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I want you to do step 3. I want you to say the 3rd step prayer, which I never really could get behind. But she's like, I want you to do it for 30 days. And it was not, and I wouldn't do that, but I would do the Serenity Prayer or some sort of something that is me reaching out to something, right? To feel connected and to feel okay, I gotta I can't do this by myself. I'm not okay, and I'm not getting better on my own, and I need your help, and people are gonna fail me right now, and I need something bigger to believe in and trust that it's gonna be okay, that I'm gonna be okay, that I'm gonna be taken care of, because where I feel right now is not safe and unworthy and unsure and scared, and I need to be able to live in a place of uncertainty and not have the fear consume me. And so that ability to tap into something bigger for me is what is the difference between functioning or not functioning in this world. But
yeah. I mean, I guess I'm taking a different approach.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this work. It's everybody has their own way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not one right way. There's just a way that will work for you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you decide, when you're talking about having to repeatedly make a decision, did you feel any sort of relief in going back to saying that out loud to yourself, the universal mother is taking care of me? Or do you actually feel that there's some connection there, or are you bringing it in, or what? I
feel these are leading questions. I feel that's a lot of pressure for me to say the right thing.
No, not the right thing.
I don't mean it that way.
No.
But I'm internalizing it that way. And so I know what you're getting at with the question, but I just felt like I needed to put that out there.
I thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead you.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And sometimes yes, sometimes no. Right? Sometimes I say it to myself and I believe it, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's comforting. It does allow me to kind of resettle. Other times I'm just eye roll. Yep, okay. I just gotta do the next thing on my list. Right?
Yeah.
So.
And that's the struggle. For real. You hit it on the nose. It's because it is often an eye roll. Even when I do it, it's not I just say it and all of a sudden I'm feeling all calm and
Right.
frickin' granola and post yoga class. I'm like, gotta say it over and over again, or say the Serenity Prayer over and over and over again until there's some sense of whatever. Or, I think what I have to do is get back into my daily practice of meditation, which I've not been in a daily practice of for a while. And so I think reestablishing baseline for me, which is starting from a place of being a little calmer in my body, is going to be super helpful just to operate in the world today.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the election reset me back to, I felt like I was like kind of in a good place. Like, I also realized how much like PTSD I had and how much my baseline anxiety was so much higher 8 years ago, and how it took a long time for my body to reset from that alone.
Right.
I had an abortion at a time when they were like repealing Roe, right? Like that was a stressful time, not because of the actual procedure itself, but because I was scared of the ramifications of that, right? And what that would mean. It's taken a long time for me to get to like a healthier place, right? And even this year I wasn't in a very healthy place. And so I felt like I was kind of on this upward trajectory, and now I'm like, I took a shoot back down the board, and now I have to.
You mean ladders and shoots?
Yes. I think it's shoots and ladders, but yes.
Shoots and ladders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I am having to kind of go back, and I'm in that like primal needs thing again. It's like, did I shower? Did I take my medication? Did I brush my teeth? Did I eat food? Did I drink water? And what time am I going to bed?
Yeah.
Right?
And are you finding that the medication is helping?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I didn't take the Ritalin today, so I was like, I'll give myself a day off. Today I'm not putting any pressure on myself to do chores, and like I have one thing to do today, really two things. I have to do this, and I have to go pick up Nala's Prozac. But I'm like, but I notice it, right? I'm like, definitely, I feel less focused. I feel like I'm having a harder time paying attention to you, and I'm focusing more on like how I want to respond and what I want to say in response to what you're saying instead of being more present. So that's interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to be medicated again. And also I decided to get an IUD put in again, because that's going to be the longest, safest, like most, I think in my mind, reliable protection moving forward, knowing that birth control in the past has heightened my anxiety levels to a different baseline and caused like weight gain and this and that, right? So, yeah, it's hard having to make a tough decision again, right?
And you want to talk about therapy?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that too. So, yeah, I was supposed to have therapy on Wednesday before our meeting, and we got on the call, and my therapist right away was like, hey, like, how's it going? And I was like, that is absolutely the wrong attitude for where I'm at the day after election day. And I was like, oh, like, I'm not good. And she was like, oh no, like, really? Why? And I was like, oh, well, the election. And I like put my head in my hands, and she was like, oh, she's like, I'm sorry to hear that. And I was like, yeah. And so I asked, do you mind? I had planned to ask this before, but I would ask, do you mind me asking what your political affiliation is? And I kind of had some inklings before based on little things she'd said here and there, certain things she'd brought up, and it was just like rubbing at me the wrong way a little bit, even though she was sometimes telling me helpful things. And she definitely helped me like just get back on kind of the train of getting support, right? But she was like, oh, sorry, like, the service provider doesn't allow us to share that information. Like, that's something that I won't ever tell my clients, because I'm supposed to be like a neutral, like unbiased person. And, I'm not here to give you answers, but I just, that's something I won't ever share. And I was like, okay, well, it's like, it's really important to me to know that my service providers share my same values. Right? Kind of going back to that very same thing we were just talking about. Like, as someone who's had an abortion, I don't feel comfortable sharing my like deepest, most like dark inner thoughts with someone who voted against me being able to get an abortion,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
that doesn't feel safe to me.
Right.
It doesn't feel safe to me to know that my therapist voted for somebody who is a convicted rapist and convicted felon.
Right.
There's a certain fundamental like disalignment there that I just can't get past, right? And so that was hard, and now I have to go through the whole thing again of finding another therapist and finding the schedule that works. It's not just like it's not just picking a person, it's also picking someone and making sure that their schedule works with my schedule, maybe having to shift around days at work to accommodate that. It's like a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And on top of like already having no energy and not wanting, I'm barely taking care of myself.
Right.
So, but it felt good to do that. And obviously her response it answered the question.
Right.
Right?
But to me, that's the self-advocacy part of like, okay, the courage to change the things you can, right? Like that, you could have just stayed with that therapist and just been, okay, well, this is
more in the people-pleasing era, I would have said.
And also the path of least resistance, right? I don't have to make any changes, and I don't have to do this extra work, and I don't have to do this. But I'm also probably not going to be honest with the person that I'm talking to now because I don't trust her anymore, right? So again, like how this stuff shows up in all of our affairs, right, is a really interesting thing because, I'm going to make decisions that are in alignment with who I am and how I'm trying to live and by the values that I have. And sometimes that's going to require more of me than I really have, or more of me than I really want to give. And I have decided that that's the way I'm going, right? Like doing this work is not easy and it's not often fun.
Right.
It's not,
I shared in our meeting,
passive.
like I'm going to have to make a whole new inventory now because I have a whole bunch of
new resentments,
fears and shame and resentment coming up again, and some of which I've dealt with before and some of which I haven't.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, and that's what this step 10 is, which is maintaining a daily practice of reflection, amends, and forgiveness. Because you do step 4, right? And you're like, okay, we've written the stories of our fear, shame, and resentments, right? But then life keeps happening and new things come up. So it's not like, I did 4 once 10 years ago and I'm one and done and I'm good now.
Right.
No, 10 whole years have passed.
Yeah.
And a lot of shit has happened. And so when you're doing this step 10 of making a daily practice of reflection, you're not building up this mountain of shit that you're going to have to sift through later. It's like, okay, daily I'm like, okay, we're going to clean the litter box.
Yeah.
We're throwing that shit out. Yeah. And then it's not going to be there for me to smell when I wake up.
Right. And also, like, I think if I had continued with her, I would have, I was already forming a resentment against her, and that would have continued. Right. And that just would have been a block in any kind of progress or therapy.
Exactly.
So
here we are doing the work, showing up for life. But what felt really good was having a meeting on Wednesday night in person where people could come. And because we're making up our own steps, and we're going to actually change our preamble because we kind of took what was existing and realized, like, it's going to be okay to talk about politics. It's going to be okay to talk about where we are because that feeds into we're not okay. And so I don't think we're going to foster a place where people are arguing
for any politician.
No. We're not going to align ourselves with any. We're
not creating a debate club.
No, and we're not going to crosstalk to each other and be rude to one another in this space. Like that's not going to happen. But we're going to have to come up with our own set of traditions and rules
Mhm.
that reflect how we are now, which is we need to talk about stuff that we
Yeah.
need to talk about, and we can't leave it at the door because that's what's causing all of this I'm not okayness right now.
Right.
So I can't just pretend that I'm fine
Yeah.
with the political landscape when I'm not.
Yeah.
And so, and it might not agree, somebody in the room may not agree with that,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because we're both still going to be like, there's still some not okayness on both sides of that aisle.
Right.
And I'm looking for a place where people can come together and feel like we can see each other, because we're not going to get better if we stay divided.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to come to the table
Mhm.
and live together as one nation, not a divided nation. A divided nation is not safe for fucking anybody.
Mm.
And so I am going to keep trying to figure out a way to, I don't know, it's so hard. Like you say, I can't reconcile myself with somebody who voted this way. It's really fucking hard. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't need to know. I don't need to figure it out today. We'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
And it may be self-selecting, and that is also okay. Like, you know, if we end up with people who want to be able to talk about what they want to talk about and be in a safe space to talk about it,
Yeah.
that's what we are creating. And so, anyway, here we are.
Mhm.
We now have starting on Sunday,
Yes.
open to the whole universe, a Zoom meeting,
Yes.
which we will post the link in our show notes.
Mhm.
And that is going to be on Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
I think are we gonna password protect it?
We are going to password protect it, so you're going to have to
you'll
sign up. Yep.
Email us.
Yeah, you'll have to email, or is there a form? We'll put the form in there.
There's a form.
Yeah. We'll put the form in the show notes.
Yeah.
So you
There's
can
like a
sign
Google
up.
form where you can enter your email.
Yeah, and then we'll send you the password so
Yeah.
that we're not getting bombed by weirdos.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but yeah, we don't want to get Zoom bombed. I don't know that that's happening all that much anymore, but we want to create a space that's
In general.
generally safe for people who want
Yeah.
to be here, not just people who are trolling Zoom.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I guess it's more just to make sure that everybody is there intentionally, right?
Yeah.
So.
So that's happening, and
Yeah. It'll be 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is hopefully just in the middle enough for multiple people in multiple time zones. Open to feedback though.
yeah, because it's early mornings in some places.
Yeah.
Because they're 9 hours
Others,
ahead. It'd be
yeah.
like first thing in the morning.
Yeah, or it's late night so.
Or it's 9 o'clock
Yeah.
in Eastern time. So we'll do what we can.
Yep.
But we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
Drink your water. Probably have not been drinking water. Mom can tell.
Yeah. You know why though? I've been thinking about this. I think it's one of those things. I don't have a water filter at home, but I also don't want to drink tap water. It's got all that stuff in it. And
You haven't bought a filter.
I don't have a filter because
That you put
I
in the
don't want
fridge?
to use a pitcher because
It's plastic.
And so, and I don't want to install a filter because I would have to redo my sink. It wouldn't fit there. And
Maybe you'll have to have water delivery, or you have to go to the water store that's by
yeah, but I
my
don't
office.
have room to put a water stand anywhere either. So it's just like the more steps that are involved in something, the harder it is for me. So I think I just have
You can
to
drink water at my house when you're done at work. In the day.
Yeah, I'll bring my 5-gallon pitcher to
You
your
just
house.
bring a big old Stanley cup and fill up in the morning.
That's what I
at
have
my
been
house.
doing, but then when I run out, I run out.
You're telling me you're drinking a whole Stanley cup full of water at
Well,
work.
the Stanley is stainless steel, and I'm not. It literally has. I'm allergic to nickel, which is in stainless steel.
Does anybody have bubble wrap that's not made of plastic that we can wrap Jackie in out there? Because bubble girl.
Yeah. It's been a week. I mean, of course, also this week, like, my fitness watch gave me a rash. I'm like, I definitely think it's correlated to my stress levels right now. And also, yeah.
So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you. Even though you're my number one bully.
Number one bully.
Aside from my dog, who won't snuggle with me.
Yeah, you got the wrong dog for snuggles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the right dog for looking at.
Mm.
She's so cute.
All right.
Okay, people.
Until next
Take
time.
care of yourselves.
Yep. Do what you need to do.
Yep.
Take a hot bath. Light the candles.
Mm-hmm.
Do the box breathing. Do your meditations.
Buy the grapes in the plastic clamshell if you need it.
The huh? Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Mhm.
I'm sure you millennials know what she's talking about.
I'm treating myself like a baby right now. Fed is best.
Okay.
And generally, I try not to buy, like, especially produce that comes in any kind of plastic container or wrapping. But right now, I need to eat food, and grapes are very easy and portable and have more nutritional value than popcorn. So,
Got it. And because I'm basically a 15-year-old boy, often in my brain, I was like, what kind of vagina clamshell is she talking about? What do the grapes have to do with anything? I don't know. I went to clam. I went to
whoa.
papaya clam. And I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? And grapes. I'm like, is there some yoni thing that I'm missing out on? Like, what the fuck?
No, please don't.
Are we like gooping right now?
No.
Okay, she's just talking about grapes and plastic.
Actual.
I was talking about taking care of yourself. I'm wondering
I mean, maybe
what
you also
kind
need to
of
do that too.
fucking jade situation are these grapes?
No.
Okay,
These are food grapes from the vine.
we're just gonna leave that with you.
Oh my god. I might need to edit this whole thing out. What the fuck?
Take care of yourselves, however that looks.
Okay.
Bye.
We want to hear from you.
Find us on Instagram and TikTok at 12 Steps for Everyone. That's at the number 12 Steps for Everyone.
Please like and follow us. You can also send us topics you want us to dig into or follow-up questions from each episode.
And if you know someone who would enjoy or benefit from our conversations, please feel free to share this with them. All are welcome here.